So we've been talking about failure in terms of getting through failure and what to do with failure and defining failure and all that. But then, now I want to kind of just pan out a little bit, and I want to talk about the role of failure. The role of failure, of course, is our teacher. So whenever there's a failure, we have a learning. So any point when there is a failure, that's our teacher, right? Because we're going to be learning. Because if we need to actually be able to do something and we can't do it, well, then we need to learn. So any failure point is a teacher of ours. And so, from an Asian culture, teachers are greatly respected because it helps us be successful. And so any failure should be greatly respected because it helps us be successful. So now, here's an interesting thing from an Asian perspective, that the responsibility of learning doesn't fall on the teacher. Actually, it falls on the student. And so this actually oftentimes gets me some heads turned where people are like, oh, really? I thought that the responsibility of teaching, material depends on the teacher and how good a teacher is. And I think that's actually very common in the West. But I like to say in Asia that the teacher can be terrible, but if a student is not learning, the responsibility of learning still falls under the student. And here's the reason why. So if you go camping and you've never camped before, most likely you're not going to have the best experience, especially if you didn't learn anything about it. I had such an experience. But after such a bad experience, when our family went camping again, we did much better because we learned. And, the more you learn about camping, what you realize is that nature isn't going to just, if you go to nature, it's not going to all of a sudden build you a cabin and have you be in there. When you're hungry, it's not going to cook a meal for you by assembling itself and becoming a dish and then plumping in front of you. It's interesting. It will do none of those things. Nature is actually kind of brutal in the sense that it won't do anything. If you don't know how to be in harmony with nature itself, nothing happens. You're the one who needs to do something. The learning is entirely dependent on you. And we can argue whether nature is a good teacher or a bad teacher, but I like to say the people who say that nature is a good teacher are really good learners. And the people who say nature is a bad teacher are typically bad learners. The point here is that it's like kind of one of the glass half full, half empty situations. But having said that, the thing that doesn't change, regardless of what you think, is that you're the one who has to learn. Nature isn't going to change for you. You're the one who's got to change. Now, if that's actually the case, does that mean that you can't be satisfied because nature isn't changing for you? Because oftentimes we are under the impression that the effort can't be all on us. It can't be all our effort. The teacher's got to, come meet us halfway. But that's really interesting because the better camper you become, the more satisfying the camping experience. And nature hasn't done a single thing. And the more cooking is the same thing. The better cook you become, whatever ingredients are available to you, the more satisfied you become. So ironically, for us to have satisfaction, really, we have to become the good leader, the learner, because it really doesn't depend on the other side. Because if it did, camping should be terrible because nature doesn't account for us. So cooking should be terrible because ingredients don't just work for us. So now here's an interesting idea. Oftentimes I guess, well, is this true? I get to ask this question. Is this true when it comes to relationships? And I like to say it's absolutely true. Don't you see these people from time to time where they get along with everyone? Even these people that other people have trouble getting along with, when you put them with these people just get along with everyone. So even when it comes to relationships, actually, it really depends on your relationship skill. So now that brings us to this idea that that learning is your responsibility. If that's the case, then if you're in school and you meet a bad teacher, does that mean that you shouldn't do well? Of course not. And we intuitively can feel that because as good students, they still get A's. Regardless who the teacher is, they still get A's. We all have seen it. Now, what stops us is that we all have had the experience of having a great teacher where we learn just so much. And we just loved it. And everything, all the materials came alive. And so we all look for great teachers, because if you meet a good teacher, that's a gift. A great teacher, actually all teachers are a gift, but I'd like to say a great teacher is luck. It's more than just a gift. It's luck. It's just pure luck. It's a fortune, actually. And that's why great teachers are surprised. Having said that, the power is with the teacher. That means that if you don't have a great teacher, then you can't learn. So the power is not with you. The power is actually with the teacher. So if you want the power, then you need to become a great student. Now, this brings us back to a more poignant point, that if you want the power to steer your life, then you need to take responsibility for your learning, which is to go back, to go back on the definition, which means that it is to take responsibility for your failures and not make excuses for them. And that is a great power. That means that all the power is with you. Now, of course, that doesn't mean that you should be hard on yourself. That's a complete different thing. As a matter of fact, actually, for you to be a great learner, you need to be in compassion, because we don't learn unless we're in a positive state of mind. And we're in a non-dual state of mind, meaning as in that we can see both the positive and the bad. And so this is not to say, oh, you should be hard on yourself, or that you should make things difficult for you, or you should have double standards where you have a higher standard for yourself. No. None of that. That just results in self-punishment. All I'm saying is that you're fair, and you actually look at things, and you look at the consequences to your actions and see why things didn't work and what made things work, and be diligent about that. So now with that, I hope that you will take the power of your life and transform it and steer it in the direction that you would like it to go. Thank you.